By the end of this live video, you are going to know how to shift to new levels of consciousness. I think we're in a time right now in the planet where we're going through collective and personal change. I've made a number of videos recently exactly about the shift that is occurring on the planet right now. This shift that's occurring is not only happening collectively, and I think it's quite obvious that we can look all around us and see old structures are collapsing. The world we live in is changing, it's changing quickly. A lot of people have had some concerns about that, and they've had some worries about some of the negativity. I want to remind you, and I was given this example. It's like a blender. You've got a blender, you hit the on button, and all of this material is purged and moves around quite violently. But what is actually happening is there is the denser material on the bottom is being brought to the surface. And this is what is actually occurring right now on the planet is a lot of shadows, a lot of negative energies are being purged right now to the surface. So even though it looks disastrous and it looks like we're headed into a negative trajectory, from a higher viewpoint, we're actually going through a great change. We're revealing, we're bringing to the light a lot of negativity that's laid dormant and hidden for a really long time. So this is happening collectively, and we can see it all around us. But what I want to share with you today is that this purging process is also happening personally for many of us. And you may feel that stirring, perhaps, for many of you, a violent stirring within you that, you feel like change is needed. You may be at the end of the line somewhere in your life where you feel like you need to make some shifts. And I want to encourage all of you is that right now is the time for change. I want to share a little story about me for a moment, and I hope this gives you kind of some perspective of what is possible. Is I used to be an incredibly shy person. In fact, when I grew up, my grandmother, who was the sweetest woman, she would never say a bad word about anyone, and I certainly never ever had any issue. I just found her to be loving and accepting. But there was one time that I recall she got mad and angry at me. And that time was when she wanted to show me to a neighbor. She wanted to introduce me to a neighbor of hers because she was proud of me. She was a doting grandmother, as grandmothers are. And she wanted to, introduce me to her neighbor. And I remember I was quite small at the time, hiding behind her. And I remember being hidden by her dress. And I was so afraid of people. I was so shy. I was so afraid of people. And I remember we left there and I never sort of presented myself. I was so scared of strangers that I never presented myself that she got angry at me probably for the first time in my life. And that really it really is something that I remembered. And I remembered that, here's this person that's just so loving. Was the one thing that she couldn't tolerate was that I wouldn't show who I really was. And, that stuck with me all of these years. And I think there are so many of us like me that for so many of our life years that we've had, we've hidden who we really are because of fear of what other people will think about us. And I think we're at a time now where it's time through this collective change and through this personal change that we begin to let those things go. My experience of awakening, which happened about 10 years ago, and I began to wake up to who I really was on a more intrinsic level. I really started to understand who I was from a greater perspective than just what you can see through the physical. And when we connect with that innate wisdom within us, when we connect with who we really are, and we really value what we have to give, then we begin to stop worrying so much about what other people think. You know, that was the biggest change and shift I made in my life. It wasn't all the hours that I meditated, but it was the realization that the greatness in me had to be shared with the world. I mean, this is why we have the purpose. This is why we are endowed with seeds of greatness, all of us. And there's not a single person here that is watching right now that doesn't have that greatness within them. But I think a lot of you are going to be relating to this, and let me know in the comments. Let me know by giving me a like as affirmation that that's resonating with you. Is that maybe it's fear for you, fear of what other people think. I think that was the main thing for me. It was being afraid that it wasn't going to be good enough. And, you know, for me, it was, I knew that I had something to share. I had my journey, my spiritual awakening, how all the things I learned along the way. I knew that that story would be immensely valuable to other people. And but there was a block, you see. There was a block in the way that stopped me, and it was fear of what other people thought. And I think we have this perception, you know, I was sharing this earlier, where we think that when we finally come out of our shell and we finally share what we have to share with the world, then it's got to be perfect. That, you know, our delivery has to be like delivering an Academy Award speech. I used to think that in my head. I used to play scenes of what it would be finally like to share a message with the world, what it would be like, and how the response would be. But you know what I found, and someone shared this with me a while ago, is that when we do emerge and we begin to show the world who we really are and share the messages that we have within us, it's not going to be perfect. You know, we have this mentality that it's through perfection that our words are going to resonate with people. It's through perfection that, you know, we're going to get that video that goes viral and hundreds of thousands of people are going to see it and it's going to be amazing. There's no such thing as overnight success. And success is attained by consistency. It's doing something over and over and over again until we get really comfortable with the process. So I think a block for many of us is this expectation that when we finally do come out and share, that we've got to be perfect, and it's just a misconception. I learn every day, you know, and um, I know by the consistency of what I do, I gain a bigger foothold. But there's no such thing as overnight success. So I want to encourage all of you that are going through this individual change that I think many of you are experiencing. As you come out of your shell, as you emerge and show the world who you really are, I want you to be kind to yourself and allow yourself to develop a plan for yourself of consistency. So for me, what that's looked like, I know I want to share the information and knowledge that I've got to share with all of you. I've made a commitment to be making a number of videos a week. And I know that because it's a relatively new thing for me, that it's not going to be perfect, that there's going to be this process of me to get to a place where things resonate more people watch, more people share, more people get something out of the message. So it's being okay with that process. It's getting comfortable. It's going through the process and having realistic expectations, because it doesn't mean just where you are today is going to be where you're going to end up. We get better and we get more confident every day with what we have to share. And for you, it may not be making videos on YouTube. YouTube. It may be your art or your writing or your communication. It doesn't really matter what it is, it's the same process. It's gaining confidence through the process and learning along the way. So I want to encourage you. I think a lot, let me know in the comments and like this video if that's resonating, because I think a lot of you are in this time on the precipice of change, and you just need the steps and the tools in order to make that work. So number one, I want you to remember this, is don't expect what you first put out is going to be perfect. I mean, let's use the video example. If it's a video that you put out and you're sharing your heart and you're being passionate and you're saying all the right things and they get 2 views on YouTube, well, don't get discouraged, because it's through the consistency and you growing in the process that it's going to grow. You know, healthy things do grow, but often with nature, things grow really small. You know, they grow slowly over time. So don't rush the process. Allow your unfolding to organically happen, and it will happen in the time that it is supposed to happen. I also want to encourage any of you that if you want some personal support by me, is to reach out. I'm going to leave a link in description of how you can contact me. It may be coaching, it may be QHHT or IQH hypnotherapy. I believe in these methods. I think they are so transformative in what can be done. You know, finding your life purpose, learning who you are, connecting with the higher knowledge that's within you. These are so imperative right now that we realize what our mission, what our purpose is, so that we can, in this great time of change, begin to emerge and be our authentic selves. Well, I'll see you in the next video. Much love and namaste.